Hello, everybody, and welcome back to GV Talk Sports. I'm Brock Elsester, and I'm here with
Jonathan Rizzo.
Riley McKnight.
Future Hall of Famer, Mr. Horton.
Sitting next to a future Hall of Famer, I'm Mr. Dutt.
Well, it always cracks me up. I will say this. We have like the amazingest conversations about women's dunk contests and things like that. And then when we go on there, it's just like
Everybody's quiet.
everybody's quiet. It's very serious. We're very serious. We're not that serious of a bunch, though.
Okay.
Can we restart for the radio show?
Yeah.
We'll
just keep going
Just a
on
second.
the-
We're going to keep talking, but
We'll keep talking. For those of you who don't know, we're on the radio as well as.
No, maybe the sound isn't working on Zach.
Is it plugged in?
we're experiencing a few technical difficulties. We'll be all right
What
soon.
time is it going on this?
Hit record again. We'll try it. All right, we'll keep talking. Go ahead, guys. I'll figure this out.
Okay. Got a lot of things going on. Interesting conversation beforehand. You guys miss all those conversations that we have while we're getting technology set up.
Sometimes that's a good thing.
Yeah, sometimes that is a good thing because we say things like, no, you can't actually say that on the radio.
Yeah.
But they were talking about, it was a high school All-American game, right?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
Go
high
and
school.
enlighten us on your conversation. And, choose your words wisely. Go ahead.
All right. Okay.
You can
So-
guys
Set the stage for us, Riley. Go ahead.
There was a high school dunk contest, McDonald's All-Star contest. The finals was between a guy and a girl. And the guy, he did a windmill over 3 people. And the girl, she did a normal dunk over a person sitting, which is still impressive. But people are mad that the girl won mostly because they are thinking she's a girl. And even though a lot of people was saying the guy's just more impressive. So it brings up the question,
Yeah.
should we just let that slide because she's a girl, or should we be fair either way? Or, yeah, what do you guys think?
I mean, the same thing happened in like 1980 something, like Mr. Duttweiler said earlier, about when Spud Webb won the dunk contest, not because he had the better dunks, but because he was 5'7".
Right.
And how Nate Robinson won 3 dunk contests, not because he had the better dunks each year, but because he was 5'9".
Yeah.
And so, like it's not just for women and men. It's also for like if you're a really shorter guy, they might give you the advantage, even though the dunk might not be as good.
Right. Well, and you have
you mean?
issues all the time with those kinds of contests in terms of subjectivity. You know what I'm saying? Something like that is so hard to be objective about.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Jordan stopped doing what? When Jordan won it, it wasn't because he was doing windmills or because he was behind it. He just did it weird. Like he went sideways in the air and he did something brand new.
Yeah.
And, were they amazing dunks? Yes. And everybody went, holy cow, can you actually do that? Can you go up and kiss the rim and, that kind of stuff? But it was because it was new. So Dr. J wins because he does the first one from the foul line.
Yeah.
Something different, subjective. I don't know. It's a tough one.
I'm amazing on an 8-foot rim. I'm just going to tell you right now. I think that needs to be said. 8-foot rim, unstoppable.
Some of my best memories are 6 foot and under tournaments where they bring the rim down to 9. I'm not going to lie. That's a blast. And I was 5'11" and 3/4, so I got in. It was awesome.
Crazy.
Mr.
playing the
Horton,
big
that was
man.
super irrelevant.
Yeah,
That was
I'm not gonna
relevant, right? Well, I have this dunk up on the screen. You got it, Chelsea?
Oh wow, we're gonna look at the. Is this the woman's dunk?
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
This is her dunk right here. Here she goes.
That's not a bad dunk over the
Right.
top of
Yeah.
somebody
Yeah,
with the
sitting-
cape
sitting
and the
on-
glasses.
With
I mean,
the
come
cape
on,
and
that's
the
kind of a
glasses.
good touch.
I mean, sitting on the chair though.
but still,
But you saw the dunk, the other
yeah,
one.
the windmill
you-
dunk was
you got
pretty
it.
was pretty sweet too. I'm glad I don't have to make that decision.
I wish I could make that decision because it would be pretty easy.
Okay. And you are more than welcome to have that opinion. I think it does play in a little bit in terms of your perception. I think it really does.
Yeah.
And so it's hard to tell. I mean, if we're talking high jump, okay, Brock goes 6'1", Kara goes 5'1". Okay, Brock wins. You know, there's it's
Yeah.
set,
Yeah, it's
cut
like-
and dry.
yeah.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know.
This
Yeah.
is something more about opinions
Yeah,
than
opinionated.
anything.
Right.
Which is really where there's a big fault in dunk contests. Is a lot of the time a person that actually won the dunk contest, like in reality, didn't get the trophy for first place.
Sure.
You know.
Yeah, Aaron Gordon and Zach LaVine.
I mean, well, I disagree on that one. But you can have your opinion on that.
But again, there you go. There's a proven point
Yeah.
though. The fact that you two both saw that dunk contest and you completely disagree
Yeah.
about who won it.
Well, yeah, and I like you guys are bringing up Spud Webb and Nate Robinson.
Yeah.
If we're gonna do something like that, where we're gonna base the competitions on actual talent, then it has to be like everywhere. It can't just be like one thing. I think if we're gonna do it, you got to do it completely, and not just leave certain parts out like that, or else you get controversy like this.
Well, sure. So do you have a dunk contest that separates anybody 6'7" or better from people who are 6'7" to 6'2", from people who are 6'2" to 5'6"?
Well, if there's someone that's
You know,
like,
to make everything fair.
if there's someone 5'10" better dunking than someone 6'2", I mean, they're
Yeah.
just better, you know?
Yeah.
Right.
Right, they have an advantage, but
It is a great line from a coach, though. I heard one time as a kid came down and does a wraparound pass behind his back and it goes out of bounds, and he said, "This isn't figure skating. You don't get more points for degree of difficulty. Make the easy pass." So, you know, that whole idea of trying to make a decision about what's better and what's worse rather than objective, etc. Which leads to my next conversation that you guys all texted me about last night, and we said we were going to talk about on the radio. Pass interference is now reviewable
And no calls.
in the NFL. Right, a no call on pass interference is reviewable. Subjective decision that you now can go to a camera and say, was that pass interference or not?
I agree with it. I think that's a
Yeah.
good idea. I mean,
Absolutely. I mean, like with that rule, if that rule was set in place earlier, we could have had a completely different Super Bowl.
True statement, absolutely. Right?
Well,
Yeah.
don't you think the rule is coming about because of that game?
Yeah, there's no doubt
there's
about
no
that.
chi-
It's a direct
Yeah.
result.
It's
Yeah.
a 0% chance that it's not because of that.
Nikel Roby Coleman, you just brought a new rule into the NFL.
Yeah.
'Cause
They
you
may as well
drilled
just call it the
Kamara.
Nickel Roby Coleman rule.
They should call it that.
Yeah. Actually, maybe not. It's not exactly easy to say.
Well, what's interesting is I was looking at it and reading a little bit about it and thinking about it. What's the level that you have to see to overturn it? You know what I'm saying? Like they always talk about, you can only be overturned if you have irrefutable evidence.
Right.
I think it's
That
gonna,
gets really dicey when it comes to pass interference because there's hand fighting all the time.
I think it's probably gonna go away after. Like they said, they were gonna review it after a year at the next owners.
You think it'll
meeting or
last 1
whatever.
year?
I think it'll last 1 year and go away.
I don't know. I think
But
pass
you still only get
interference-
2 reviews, right?
Pretty sure.
I think for a challenge, but I think they can just review it anytime.
But I know in the last 2 minutes it's from the booth.
Right. The call's got to come from the booth.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, when you think about it too, they're gonna call it when they think it's an obvious call anyway. So I don't think it's gonna. I mean, maybe it will go overboard, but I think for the most part it'll be when it's a questionable call that even the fans can notice. Which, I mean, obviously New Orleans, that was an obvious call,
Right.
which would have been
Right.
overturned easily.
Right, and that's what they're looking
Right.
for.
So this is the conspiracy theory guy in me, right? You guys, I've played my entire, not yet Hall of Famer career,
You're really close to being a Hall of Famer.
close, without any replays. You guys have played your entire careers without replays. You've taken the good with the bad and the ugly and complained about calls. I believe that we're trying to do this at the professional level because there's so much gambling, that there's so much money bet on these games.
Yeah, want to get as close as
They
possible.
want to get as close as
Right.
possible because people lose money.
Yeah.
That might be it.
I think it's listen, everything always has to do with the money.
right. That's
It's
true.
all about the money.
That's true. You see people cringing when somebody takes a last second shot, saying, "Yeah, go in," or "Please
Or
don't go in.
don't cover the
Okay,
spread."
Don't cover the spread. Exactly.
Yeah, like the.
That's a really good point.
So is it really, have we ruined sports by letting people gamble?
So Devin Booker couldn't get his 60 the other night.
There's the question, have we ruined sports by letting people gamble on them?
Nah,
Yes.
I don't think so.
No?
I mean, to an extent. I guess.
I guess it
Right.
depends on your view.
$1 billion spent on gambling on the NCAA tournament this year. $1 billion.
I'm surprised it's not more, actually.
So please enlighten us. Those of you who say yes and those of you who say no. Go ahead.
Jen, go ahead. You can go.
Well, I think sports gambling can be good at a small scale, just like
Yeah.
little pools with, maybe at like your work or whatever. But then when you start
Yeah.
getting on a big scale where you're betting online on like, I don't know the websites. I'm not gonna list them, so they're not.
DraftKings.
So no, let's not give them
Oh,
free
sorry,
promo.
no.
No free promo for them.
I meant RaftKings.
I completely agree with John in this
But
case.
like on a big scale, when you start betting online and you're going to
Yeah.
Vegas, and then you have the sports bettors betting, I don't know how much they normally
Thousands
bet,
of
but
dollars.
millions, like hundreds of thousands of
Yeah.
dollars on games. That's just a little ridiculous.
That
I
might be
think.
bad for their life, but is it bad
Yeah.
for sports?
Yes.
I mean, I think it's really the person making the decision on how much they're gonna gamble, and
If it's
Like-
based on the person, why is it bad for sports?
yeah, I don't think it is very bad for sports, but
Because it allows for fixing.
Like-
When there's that much money involved in anything, it just you can't really take anything as legitimate anymore, because people are always gonna take money to make
Sound
money.
like Mr. Horton now.
It's rubbing off. Well, and it's funny. You talk about gamblers in sports. The most difficult sport to gamble on, like at a professional level. Anybody have any idea? Like, it's maybe not the most, but it's one of the most.
Golf.
Golf. True. People bet on golf all the time, but it's hard. Like, because you'll get like a random guy that has not won a tournament like in 5 years that wins this week.
Right.
He shoots 10 under, and you go, what? Yeah, it's hard. There you go. I don't even know where that came
That
from.
is so.
but-
It's. I don't know. It's interesting to me because sometimes, and I think I would fall down with Riley that I don't know if affects the sport other than the fixing issue that could get interesting. But it does provide interest in meaningless games.
Well, you have people that watch the NCAA tournament that
Watch
because of the
nothing
bracket
else.
That will never watch another college basketball game all year.
Right. And so it does pique interest. You have, the Sabres played Ottawa last night, right? No one really cares because they're both in the bottom 5 of the NHL. But if you had an NHL fantasy team, or if you had, that you have money on, well, now you're interested. Is Eichel going to get a goal? Is Rasmus Dahlin going to get an assist? Now you actually are interested in that sport. So to that extent, it's probably good. But then you have the Tim Donegues of the world that fix basketball games, and organized crime is making millions of dollars. So you have that other side. It's a two-sided
Yeah,
coin,
I'd have to
think.
say I was trying to say pretty much what you just said. It's good on a small scale for like fantasy when you have betting on it and just like little pools,
yeah.
small gambling. But when it gets on a big scale, I think it's
It just
not.
it makes you wonder.
A lot of gambling on MMA stuff and boxing.
Yeah.
Oh, and is that why Conor McGregor retired?
I
there's
heard
some
he
other
got-
stuff.
There's some
Other stuff going on
misconduct
there. Yeah.
issues going on there.
He's had some weird episodes.
I
like,
think,
right?
yeah.
He's been accused by some females.
They
I
throw
think,
a
right?
chair through
Yes, he
somebody
threw a
else's
chair through a
bus or
bus's
something.
window.
I
Yeah.
think ever since the Mayweather fight, he just kind of went downhill. And if he continued to keep fighting instead of taking a longer break, I think he'd still be all right. But he just kind of fell off hard and got too caught up in
Right.
other aspects.
Yeah, I think he was a little too full of himself.
He retired last night, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually am not that surprised he
Me neither.
retired.
Okay, let's move to a different sport. We'll get Brock involved in the conversation heavily here. Read a very interesting article by Tim McMahon from ESPN. I'll just give you the title of the article, Brock, and we'll let you go off, and then I'll give you some details. All right? Here it is. Harden's workload is through the roof. What does it mean for the playoffs?
I think it's going to continue to the playoffs. To be honest with you, I feel like he can continue at this pace, especially with the help of CP3 and Clint Capella. Come that time, barring injury, I believe like he's going to show up this year.
All right.
What
I
does
mean,
that mean,
they
though?
took the Warriors
Right.
to 7
to
games
7.
in
Yep,
the conference
absolutely.
finals.
And that's an
And
irrefutable fact.
that's without Chris Paul in the last couple games.
Right. Now, here's what I'm saying, okay? And he uses this usage percentage. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
You know, what percentage of the time does the ball go through Harden's hands?
He has one of the
It's-
highest in
yeah.
the league, doesn't he?
He
Yeah,
is
highest.
currently at 39.6% of the
Mm-hmm.
possessions he's involved in it.
Yeah.
Okay? Which is the second highest in history.
First is Russell Westbrook
Russell
in his
Westbrook.
MVP season.
Right. So let me just give you the list. I'm not going to give you all the people because
Yeah.
Russell Westbrook's on here twice. But let me give you their end of season result for these 2, 4, 6, 8 people. All right. Lost in the first round, lost in the first round, missed playoffs, lost in the first round, lost in the first round, missed playoffs, lost in the first round. No
Yeah.
one with that high of a usage rate has ever made it past the first round.
I think it's a little different though. I think
Okay.
I think those players might be. I'm not going to say they're. Who can you list some of those players?
Sure. Russell Westbrook, Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, Allen Iverson, DeMarcus Cousins, Dwayne Wade.
Okay, so I think some of those players. I'm assuming you're talking about Dwayne Wade before LeBron.
08, 09.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
And Kobe probably is it Kobe late in his career or
05, 06.
okay? I'm thinking those players.
No, it wasn't really.
Oh,
No.
That's when he scored 80.
Yeah, I think those players just don't have as much of a team around them. I think the
Yeah.
difference is, and I think they weren't really in their prime at those times
And here's-
necessarily. They're either before or after.
And here's a big reason why Chris Paul and Clint Capella, the second
Yeah.
and third best player on the Rockets roster, have missed a lot of games this season.
Yeah.
Whereas compared to the other guys that you mentioned on that list, like Kobe Bryant and DeMarcus Cousins, they just had nobody on the team.
Yeah.
Come playoff time,
Yeah,
there was
it's just-
come playoff time there was no assistance at all. It was their team. There was nobody else to help. James Harden doesn't have that situation because
His
the second
usage
and
rate's
third.
only just high because
Because
injuries, really.
Yeah, because injuries.
I
from the
mean
other players on the
it'd
team.
still be really high without the injuries, but
So you think it's artificially high?
I think so.
Okay. The question though that I think needs to be asked is, you know, he just played 37 minutes in the third out of 4 games, third game in 4 nights.
Yeah.
The question is, will he be tired when you get to the playoffs? When you're talking doing this for 8 months, right, which is the NBA season, that much time on the court, taking that many shots, having to carry the load. You know, we jokingly say when I play, you know, a tournament with money here, I say, does your back hurt because you've been carrying me the whole time? You know, he's been carrying the Rockets for the entire time. So
Not me, James Harden.
James Harden, right? The question is he going to get to where he gets to the 5th or 6th game like a couple years ago
Yeah.
when his usage rate was relatively high? Not as high, I get it. He didn't have Chris Paul, he didn't have those guys. Is he going to get to the 6th or 7th game of a series against the Warriors, against the Trailblazers, and go 2 for 11 for 10 points like he did
I
a
don't
couple
think-
years ago?
I
You
don't
know what I'm
think-
saying? That's just the concern.
Yeah. I don't think they're going to get to 5th or 6th game against any teams other than the Warriors or possibly teams from the East if they make it to the finals. I think,
They did lose to the Bucks last night.
yeah. But they won't have to face them
Well,
until the finals if they face them at
Warriors
all.
lost to the Suns, didn't they?
But
Yeah.
you're talking.
It's going to be that time of year, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, but you're talking in the West, there are probably 4 teams. I mean, we know the Warriors are going to make it at
Yeah.
least to the semis, the conference semis, probably the conference finals. All right? There's at least 4 other teams that could make it to the conference finals in the
Yeah.
West, which means Houston's not the odds-on favorite to meet the Warriors in the finals. I think there could be 3 or 4, 5, 6, 7 game series for anybody out West.
Yeah.
That could be a problem.
If you look at it, you would think Harden would be more ready for a series like that because all season he's playing so many minutes a game. You'd think he'd kind of have
Yeah,
that
it's not really
endurance to
affecting
go.
him now that badly, so I don't
Yeah.
see it changing in the playoffs.
I think
Yeah.
you should still be ready, if not more ready
Okay.
than other players.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just trying to.
When did the NBA playoffs start?
I don't know. They've only played 75 games, so everybody's got 7 games left.
So probably like a month maybe.
May.
Yeah.
late April, early May. Yeah, I just wonder. I'm just thinking. Because we know, everybody says it, but let's just be honest and say it out loud. The NBA regular season is completely different than the NBA postseason, right? In the NBA regular season, the joke is that you don't have to turn the game on until there's about 5 minutes left because that's when they play for serious, right? But in the playoffs, it's serious from the get-go.
Yeah.
So does that play a difference? And I guess we'll just have to wait and see. I mean, I don't know. I'm just throwing out questions to see what you guys think about it. But okay, that was my point.
I'm looking at an article on here with the 16 teams that are left in the NCAA.
Oh, okay.
And they go through.
Do they rank them top to bottom?
They do, and they premier players that played at these schools. Do you think we can get a few?
Sure. I'm not going to look. I was looking over your shoulder, but I can't see it from here. So let's be honest.
Some of these, this one.
I'll look into the
surprised me.
camera like Brock tells me to.
Oregon Ducks. Who's the best player that they've ever had?
Ooh, Oregon Ducks.
Guy by the name of
Okay.
Dylan Brooks.
Yeah.
Okay.
Never heard of him.
heard of him.
He's a good player.
You get this
He's a
one,
really
the
good player.
Auburn Tigers.
Charles Barkley.
Charles Barkley
Yeah, Charles Barkley. You guys jumped on that one.
with the Chuckcedo.
Yeah. Did you watch the interview that the other day that when Auburn was playing? I think it was against Kansas. The reporter walked up and said, "You're making Charles Barkley nervous, coach." And he went off on a tangent about how he doesn't need to be nervous because they got it or whatever.
Oh, jeez.
Like they weren't talking about the game at all. They were talking about how Charles Barkley was nervous to the coach.
Nice.
Who else?
LSU Tigers.
Shaquille O'Neal.
Ben Simmons.
Shaquille O'Neal.
Ben Simmons.
Ben Simmons.
Ben Simmons.
I'm gonna stick by Ben
All right,
Simmons.
whatever.
Okay.
Houston Cougars.
Either Clyde Drexler or Akeem Olajuwon.
Akeem Olajuwon.
Yeah, I'd say Akeem Olajuwon.
This one always I forget about this guy. The Purdue Boilermakers.
Oh.
No, I know.
Did they call him the big dog? Glenn Robinson
Glenn, that's right. Glenn Robinson played for Purdue. I forgot.
played for Purdue. I'll do a couple more. Gonzaga.
Steve Nash.
Demonis Sabonis.
Adam Morrison.
Adam Morrison is the best player.
That's who they picked.
Demonis Sabonis.
Virginia Cavaliers.
Ralph Sampson.
Ralph Sampson. Michigan Wolverines.
Glenn
Couple
Rice.
here.
Tom Brady.
Glenn Rice.
Tom
Chris,
Brady.
Chris Webber.
Chris Webber.
Yeah,
Glenn
you
Rice.
got a couple to choose from.
Jalen Rose.
Michigan
Yeah.
State. This one's an easy one. He now owns.
Draymond, Green.
Green.
He now owns a professional team. Magic Johnson.
Oh, Magic. That's right. I forgot Magic played in the
Draymond
Draymond Green.
How about Indiana State? Indiana State.
This is the one.
Larry Bird.
This is the one I really wanted to get to spur this discussion. Is the Duke Blue Devils?
Well, I mean,
their best player ever,
Yeah,
best
Trey
college
Jones.
player ever,
or
best
in the
overall
NBA,
player.
like
the best college player ever.
Christian Laettner.
Yeah.
Christian Laettner.
I don't know. I
But
forgot
like
his
in
name.
the NBA now, Kyrie Irving probably.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Maybe Kyrie.
Grant
Grant Hill.
They went with Christian Laettner.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
Christian Laettner's arguably the best college basketball player ever.
So how come those skills don't transfer over to the NBA?
Well, it's a different game.
Yeah.
There's different. The athleticism is different.
And he also doesn't have Coach K, so that also
Right.
plays a part. The NBA coaches, nothing against the NBA coaches, but there's not a single coach in the NBA besides maybe Greg Popovich or
Brad Stevens.
no, not even
I
Brad
wouldn't even
Stevens.
say
They
Luke
could even
Walton.
rival Roy Williams, Coach K, Jim Boeheim, any of the big coaches from.
I wanted to see if you
college.
caught that. Did you hear me say Luke Walton?
Yeah.
So Duke was
David
number 3.
Fitzgerald.
They list the
Yes,
North Carolina Tar Heels as number 2.
Oh, that would be Michael Jordan. Might be the best player that ever played there.
MJ, the best
Could
player
be.
ever.
I
Perkins.
don't think so. Luke
Sam-
May.
James Worthy.
It's Luke May.
Luke May is the best
John.
player that ever played at North Carolina.
And in this particular, they list the Kentucky Wildcats. We talked about Mr.
Anthony
Jim
Davis.
Rhodes
Yeah,
having
Anthony
them as-
Davis.
Kentucky Wildcats.
Has to be Anthony
Booker.
Davis.
Anthony Davis.
It has to be. DeMarcus Cousins.
Pat Riley.
Dan Issel.
Dan Issel. You're
Okay.
talking Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
Now, you guys don't know Dan Issel, and so this is where we get into those conversations about chronological snobbery, where you don't know all the guys that played in the end. Anthony Davis probably will end up with a better career than Dan Issel.
You would think, right?
But Dan Issel
got
was-
better eyebrows.
Eyebrow.
I'm trying to make a serious point, and he
Sorry.
talks about the eyebrow.
Sorry. I can't get over that.
The eyebrow. But yeah, I mean, Anthony Davis is a better athlete. But Issel might have been a better basketball player at this point.
True. Charles, how much time we got left?
2 minutes.
So,
All right, we
so
better do
who's
some
your
final thoughts.
who's your pick then?
You
You're
know
still going
mine.
with Gonzaga.
You know mine.
Gonzaga win, right?
Friday we may have to have an NCAA
Prediction ceremony.
Sweet 16 party.
Okay, Sweet 16 party. Okay, final
Final
thoughts.
thoughts.
Who's going first?
John, go ahead.
Not today. I'm not going first.
All right, I'll go first. Baseball season starts tomorrow. I mean, it already started, yes, 2 games in Japan. But I'm going to predict that the New York Yankees actually edge out the Boston Red Sox for the American League title. Both teams win, or both teams end up in the playoffs. But the Yankees edge out the Red Sox for the American League East.
I am going to say I'm going to switch to college football. We will do that season coming up pretty soon, but a college football, greatest college football player of all time,
Bo Jackson.
Johnny Manziel.
Okay.
You dispute that.
All right.
You can't. It's indisputable.
So, Red Sox are going to repeat. Duke's going to win the tournament, and Bills make playoffs.
Oh,
Ooh.
the Bills have to win 10 games, or I think that the team moves to
They're not.
Binghamton.
No, they're not going to.
Topeka.
No.
All right, go ahead, bro.
No, I don't think so.
In the prime of his career, the big baller himself, Lonzo Ball, will be a top 3 point guard in the NBA.
Boy, you are sticking with that. You got that one.
I
down.
forgot to bring up something about Lonzo Ball today, so we'll have to talk about that on Friday.
Did we say his name?
Okay, so my prediction for the World Series this year is the Milwaukee Brewers and the New York Yankees.
Ooh, the Brewers.
And
coming out of
the
NL.
Yankees win in 7 on a walk-off home run by Giancarlo Stanton.
Wow. At least that's not too specific.
Yeah, no.
So,
10 months out.
On the count of three,
It's a walk-off
7
grand
months out.
slam with 2 outs, 2 strikes. There's
Should have been a third called strike, but they're not using,
They're not
the,
using
the
it.
replay yet.
So, and the bases are loaded with Aaron Judge on first and Gary Sanchez on second and Didi Gregorius on third.
wow, you've really thought about this. This scares me.
Wow.
No, I just made
The
up
fact
random
that
players.
Gary Sanchez is hitting first in front of.
So I think to end the show, on the count of 3, there's one player that we haven't mentioned today.
No, we're not talking about him. I thought we could go
On
the whole
count of-
thing.
On the count of 3, we
LeBron
should say
James?
1, 2, 3. LeBron.
James.
I can't do it. I'm not going to say it.
Brett Favre.
Johnny Manziel.
Johnny Manziel.
All right.
Take us home, Brock.
Thanks for watching and tuning in to GV Talk Sports. I'm Brock Elsfester, and I'm here with
Jonathan Rizzo.
LeVar Ball.
LeBron James.
Sitting
Lonzo
next to a
Ball.
bunch of Hall of Famers on Mr. Dutt. See ya.